Welcome everybody. Today it's a special live episode of Selling Sheet Music. We're here at the ACDA Choral Conference in Dallas. We've got Scott Harris, Head of Education and Self-Publishing, Stacey Nordmeyer, General Manager for Choral Publications, and Luke Talen, Creative Director of Choral Publications. Why don't we start by having y'all explain what those words mean?
Good call. Why don't I start?
You're first. Go for it.
Creative director, so I'm involved a lot of product development and editorial and just a mishmash of other things, creating relationships with writers, getting things out the door. So it's a big process and a lot of different things, but it's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
As general manager, I'm involved with generally overseeing of the entire department on the sacred music side, community choir, and school music side. Work closely with Luke and our other editorial team on product development and some marketing things, and just the overall focus of the entire department.
Yeah. And as head of education self-publishing, it's content job. So my job is to make sure that we're getting content for the choral area, our instrumental department, school methods, and our elementary curriculum in those four separate areas to help guide and shape and optimize revenue and make good decisions about the content that we're producing. And then I also continue to oversee our Arrange Me program as well on the self-publishing side. So slightly different job, content in a different way. Those kind of five areas is where I fall in. I've got the honor of working with our choral team in addition to the other teams as well. So.
Likewise.
Yes.
So, how big is the team? It's not just the three of you. There's a lot more people at HAL. What does that team look like?
For the choral department, there are 5 of us who are based out of Milwaukee. So we have Luke and myself. We have senior editor Jeff Reeves, and choral editors Patricia Worozinski and Zachary Moore. And then based in Austin, Texas, we have our director of church choral publications, Joseph Martin. And then in Indianapolis, overseeing our Shawnee School, Greg Gilpin. So we're a good-sized team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't know if we've done it enough times for this to be a tradition, but we did have this live episode 2 years ago.
That's right.
The ACDA conference happens every other year.
Yeah.
Last time we did this, and Luke and Scott, you were both there for that.
Yeah.
Last time we did this, we started by talking about just the overall perception of self-published music in the choral community. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering, over the last 2 years, do you think that's changed at all?
Everybody looks at me. I think it's been, it's certainly grown. It's grown quite a lot in the last couple of years. We've seen a couple of stars rise in the last couple of years. One in particular, Marianne Muglia. She has done so much good work and used Arrange Me to get it out there. And then we've started to publish, we've published at least one of her things on the print side. So I think it's proving to be a welcome channel for choral composers and arrangers to get their music out there, get it shared, and develop a following, and then the sky's the limit. I mean, it's really what Arrange Me was designed to do, is to provide a platform for your independent self-publisher, and then, we're pulling stuff into print on the Hal Leonard side all the time. Yeah, so trying to find new voices in as many ways as we can, and Arrange Me has proved to be really valuable, especially in the choral space.
Would you say that's sort of the new path into the industry now? Like, get out there and self-publish and then get picked up by one of the publishers?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is mirroring what's happening on the record side too, where this has been happening for years and years on the record side, where an artist comes in and instead of getting a record deal right away, they're developing a following locally, groupies, all the things, and then doing live shows and all that. I don't know how many choral groupies there are, but I'm sure there are. But
they're all here, so however many there are, they're all here.
10,000 strong. But yes, Arrange Me is certainly a path and an important one. Self-publishing is becoming super valuable to establishing your own voice, and you kind of get to do what you want to do, right? And curate the stuff that you feel good about, confident about, and you never know, especially if you're willing to do the work to network and market and promote your own stuff and your own brand and all that. You can really, find a path to success.
Yeah, it's like a bedroom musician. You're working with the tools that you have, and then self-promoting yourself, and then it just becomes more and more common nowadays.
Indeed,
that it's just a way to break in like that.
That's right.
So when you're looking at a self-publishing composer's music, what is it you're looking for to be able to discern, like, this guy's the real deal? Is there something, is it the way it's presented in the notation? Are you focused more on the musical ideas? What are the things that you prioritize?
Well, I think it's a lot of different things. A lot of it has to do with how it looks on the page, because they care for their music.
That's a first impression, which is always, we know first impressions are, you can't do a second one of those, so that's important.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's like, what kind of attention is it receiving? And then when you look at the music, for me, it's like, how does it make you feel, right? When you're actually looking and going through the music, is
Sure.
it like, is this a unique voice? Is this something we're looking for? Is this something special? And like Scott always mentions, the cream rises to the top.
Yes.
It's just, you can notice these things
Right.
and they become apparent.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly know what works in the different markets
Right.
for choral education, certainly. But who's pushing the envelope, and how is that working and being received in the marketplace, and how is it changing, evolving? That's where self-publishing is really valuable to kind of see the test market for those types of ideas, and how can we release that at scale.
And our choir singing it, is it being performed somewhere? Does it get a performance here? Does it get a performance at another convention or a festival?
Right.
And is it on social media? Are people following it and getting excited about it? Because you have, if they have an audience already, then we know as a publisher that audience is going to come over and look at us too.
Something that happened unique this year, talking about changes from the last time, J.W. Pepper has pulled, I think, 9 different charts from Arrange Me into their reading sessions at ACDA.
Wow.
Right.
Over the course of their 2 or 3 sessions or whatever they have. And so that tells you right there that there's really great writers that are self-publishing excellent quality work that is getting noticed and sung and performed.
Yep. Appetite for it.
And finding a platform and an audience. It's exciting.
So that's an interesting point, because I think with choral music and its reception, it's sort of a chicken or the egg thing, right? Like, which comes first?
Right.
I've had a lot of music that's been self-published and done nothing, and then it gets put on a list, and all of a sudden it starts selling, and it's like the quality of the music didn't change. It's just that nobody was finding it, right? And so in my mind, there is, like, I feel like the choral industry right now is super reliant on tastemakers, influencers, gatekeepers, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you have a term for it. I don't know.
Those are all great terms,
Yeah.
Garrett. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we see it too, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
But I mean, like, if you ask any director, like, where do you find your music? It's my peers. What are they singing on their concerts? And it's, editor's choice. It's festival list. It's reading sessions.
Right.
And so the thing that everybody listening is probably dying to know, how do I get my music on one of those things? How do I get my self-published music on one of those lists? Because for a lot of choral directors, until it has that sort of stamp of approval, they're not really going to take the time to go through it.
Yeah.
What I do see is social media as a use. We see all these different, I'm a choir director, Facebook groups and other things like that. And people will say, hey, I'm looking for a piece about this topic, or I'm looking for something from my 7th grade choir that's this voicing that covers this theme in my concert. And a lot of people will recommend their own work, and there's no shame in doing that. And I think in some cases, it's, hey, check out my piece, here's a link to it. And that's kind of a grassroots way, I think, of doing it, but that's another avenue in that we didn't see a whole lot of even 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. Right, and it's sort of expanded the reach of, like, what kind of music people are looking for. Because if you want a certain ensemble or want a certain theme or something, some's writing it.
Yeah.
Someone's doing it.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in
that self-promotion
and
and I mean, every social platform now has, like, a shorts or, like, a small medium feature where you get quick bites of your music, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Reels or whatever. So you can get a taste of that. I mean, I know our attention spans are just so short nowadays.
90 seconds,
Yeah, but I mean, it's really the way a lot of people peruse and look at music and sort of get it out there.
Well, and to piggyback on that topic, I mean, you can't just publish something on Arrange Me and let it sit and then expect it to do anything.
Right.
I mean, you've got to do the work as a self-publisher. I mean, Hal Leonard for decades has been promoting things that we publish, right? So that is the model as a self-publisher. You've got to hustle. You've got to make connections. You've got to invest some time and energy, even if it is just a social media account, where you're getting it in front of people, trying to make connections locally, even to choirs and music educators beyond, in your sphere of influence. start somewhere. You can't just pull up in a bedroom and put it out there and expect it to. I don't think Billie Eilish and Phineas just put something on Spotify and just expected it to do something. They were out there hustling and playing, getting in front of people. So to that's
a good analogy.
To chase the analogy a little further.
It was literally in their bedroom, right? I think that
Literally,
album was in the closet.
Yes.
But and the point is well taken. But I also want to ask, like, Hal Leonard is sort of a publisher of all this stuff. I mean, you're collecting a royalty on music that Arrange Me sells. So why wouldn't Hal Leonard be interested in promoting and pushing that music as well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are. I mean, we're interested in promoting anything that we think will sell, right? Mm-hmm. There's only so many so many hours in the day. There's only so many marketing budget dollars. That's why I'm working with JW Pepper for some of these select titles to expand that opportunity for marketing and visibility is exciting. And it's beyond what we can do, as our marketing department. We've got so many priorities.
So it's not really a formal process at this point, like integrating the Arrange Me stuff with the Hal Leonard umbrella.
Not super formal at all. But when something does hit and spike, which happens by traditionally print published stuff or self-publishing title, I mean, we're going to try to ride that wave for sure. I mean, we're business, right? We've got to get on that train.
Yep, without a doubt.
So the other big topic that we hit on the last time we did this episode was just the sort of return to normalcy from COVID, right? ACDA in Cincinnati was sort of the first big thing that felt normal after the pandemic, right? There was no masks. Everyone was in the same room, right? The convention center there. Do you feel like we've returned to pre-COVID normals? Are we finally past that? Because it sort of felt to me that like the industry was really cooking and then everything tanked with COVID and it's been kind of struggling to get back to even that starting point. Are we there yet? Are we still working on it?
It's a new normal.
Yeah.
So what's different about it now?
Well, the things we could like rely on to be like a hot Disney property coming out and be like, boom, this is going to be a huge mega seller. Like, not necessarily anymore, because tastes change and different things happen. There's different ensembles. People's ensembles haven't built back the way they have. They haven't had students, going up through those feeder programs because they were away for so long.
Right.
So it hasn't been this trajectory of up. It's been more of like a roller coaster back to that area. So it's just a new normal that we're adjusting with.
I think overall it does trend upwards, but it definitely is a less steep of an upward trend than we all anticipated it would be.
Yeah, or hoped.
Yeah, for sure. Like, okay, we're going to do this, everyone's going to be fine, and we're all going to get back in the choir room and we're going to sing and nothing will have changed. And that was the dream. I think so many people were just clinging on to that because you had to cling on to something. But, I mean, when students don't sing for 2 years, they lose that. They lose those 2 years of learning, and so they come back and they're not at the same level they were comparatively from 2 years ago. We see it on the church side especially.
There's an exponential loss
smaller.
That takes longer than 2 years to recover from.
For sure.
Right?
And
so,
Well, I think it was just last week was the 5-year anniversary.
of
when the NBA shut down. That's for me was like the this is for real.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
2 weeks it'll all be over.
Right.
Do you think there's anything that's better now? Like, do you think anything has come back in an improved way? Like, because we had to reevaluate things and embrace technology in a different way. Like, I know some composers, I was talking to the Pod Brothers earlier, and they were talking about how they made a lot of discoveries about certain types of music that were needed because they had to approach it differently because everybody was, virtual for some time.
I would say just in a really macro sense, like, I feel like people, really general here, are being more deliberate about what they're deciding to do or what they're spending their money on or where they're going. I just feel like everyone's being more thoughtful about that because they have to be. They're being forced to be because of what all happened.
I would say that's true for a publisher too. We have to be more intentional and much more careful about where we spend our resources, and trying to have, more wins than losses, There was a day not too long ago where we were comfortable with a certain amount of, misses. It's just, it's just kind of part of the deal. But boy, we have to be a lot more careful to make sure that those misses are minimized as much as possible. So.
And is that because the hits are not as big as they once were, or is it just because of the perception of the brand?
I don't know. I think I would think about it more like we can't afford to take a risk on things that we are a little less sure of these days. So from a content perspective, it's about intentionality, and maybe doing small tests where it's a limited risk as opposed to just going all in and just saying, oh, whatever, we'll see how it shakes out. We really can't do that anymore, But when Taylor Swift comes out with a new record, that's a pretty bankable property, right? Like, we know we can sell a whole lot about, especially with the hits and the singles.
And Wicked.
Oh, Wicked,
I mean, that's been a gift, right?
Bring it on.
Revisit this,
Fantastic.
So we're riding that wave. Yeah, those are slam dunks.
So we just need more things like that, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not all like that. Yeah, and so that's where the Choral team's job is to come in and we work together to make sure that how do we make the right choice?
Well, and that brings up an interesting point because, as you say, the things that are most reliable in terms of setting expectations for sales, it's those big properties everyone recognizes, the Taylor Swifts, the Wickeds. People are going to be interested in that.
Sure.
But at least in ACDA, those kinds of things are probably not what they're most interested in finding.
Sure.
Right? They're looking for concert music. They're looking for oftentimes really unique things.
Sure.
We were talking to somebody in the booth earlier that was looking for we need a piece. We need a piece for choir and orchestra that is all about the word peace, right? And looking specifically for things that had that in the text. So, as a composer, what do you think composers could do better to present their music or explain their music in a way that excites people? Because I think that's one of the hardest things to do. I write a new piece, I feel great about it, and then when I say it in words, it doesn't sound that cool. It sounds like every other piece that's ever been written. It's like, well, this one has an organ, and it's got this cool section where the voices do two different things at the same time. You know what I mean? Like when you try to explain it in words, it doesn't come across.
Right. You somehow have to show it or try to convey how it's, like Luke was saying earlier, how is this piece going to make you feel when you sing it? How will it make your audience feel when they hear it? When they leave that concert space, what are they taking? What emotion are they taking with them? Yeah, and that's hard to quantify. I know it is.
It's true.
And I mean, and you said in there what can composers do better? I think composers are writing better than ever nowadays with interesting techniques.
Oh, sure.
And unconventional languages and cultures and everything. So it's honestly, I think it's been better than ever. A lot of conversations I've had with composers and writers here have been about diversifying the amount of stuff they do, which is like a combination of copyrighted songs and this super experimental thing for children's choir and this and that, and they're all wanting to do that. It's like what's all the breadth of composition that I can actually do, and they're doing more than ever, and that's cool.
What instruments can I add that haven't been necessarily combined before together? What different timbres and sounds can I make to make this piece unique?
Yes.
Well, and I get this sense from publishers that everything normal's already been done. Right? Like you already have all that stuff. So you're looking for what's unique and interesting.
Music is finished.
Like you don't, like if I came to you with another piece about, the sky is full of stars, you'd be like, okay, well, we've got that already, Apologies to anyone writing music about stars, but you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that have been done over and over and over in the industry, but then it's sort of, again, with the expectations game, right? If you write something new and unique, publishers might also be like, well, I don't know how this is going to do.
Sure.
And so they might not embrace it because of that.
Right.
And so I feel like we hear it both ways from publishers, not just Hal, but other people too. It's like, we want to be sure it's a hit, but also we want it to be unique and exciting and something people have never seen before.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And publishers look at things differently. I mean, each publisher knows their catalog, knows their writers, knows their need. So a piece may be stellar, but if it doesn't work with a certain publisher for various catalog or content reasons, it might work great with another publisher. So part of that is just keep trying and try to find the best publishing home for it, as we like to say.
Yeah. And I mean, we're always looking at our own catalog too, like how many versions of down to Verba to Pray do we
Right,
have, or
yeah,
how many versions
yeah.
of the Christian Mass, how many settings can we have of a certain
Right.
thing before it's just
You start competing with yourself.
right,
Just
exactly.
diluted.
What's the answer?
I don't know the answer.
I don't know. Search
Well, it
Howler.com.
depends on, you know.
Do we hit a number and then it's like, oh, that's it, no more, no.
Well, but, to answer your question a little different way, you know, and loop back about Arrange Me, as a composer, if you're experimenting and you really feel confident in the work that you're doing, you have the ability to get it out there and promote it, and so that to establish that track record to where you start making some noise, then a larger publisher, us or whoever, you know, will be forced to pay attention.
Right.
You know, and so you become your own tastemaker in some ways. You know, if you're writing work that other people are interested in performing and singing and studying and all that,
Right,
you know, at some
right.
point there's a tipping point where, you know, it becomes scalable, right? Instead of just something for a specific group for a specific time, you know, because there's a difference in that music. Music for one person or group as opposed to music for the masses.
So do you still think it's important for composers to put themselves in a box and write for a specific ensemble type or a specific genre? Or I feel like in the past that certainly was necessary for promoting yourself.
Right.
But what I'm hearing is that maybe publishers are more open to composers writing different styles and different types of music.
I would certainly say it's trending that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I could put any one of our like arrangers that's come on board or writers in the past 5 or 10 years be like, oh, they're only doing this.
They're only doing this,
They're only doing
or
that.
they can't do that. Or
Yeah.
I mean, they may not be known for a certain genre, but that's no reason why not to pursue that genre.
Yeah.
What do you
Right.
say?
Well, and I've been thinking lately, like, what's a comparable industry outside of the music business that like might have some parallels? And I've been thinking about just like the book publishing industry,
Sure.
right? Because you have the same thing there with digital and print,
Right.
and you have independent authors and published authors, right? And in that industry, you know, if Stephen King was to write a rom-com,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't.
What does he do?
I don't know. Like maybe it would be successful,
Maybe.
but
he's
but
not
people
known
would
for
not
it, yeah.
react to that. I think
Yeah.
positively, right? Because
Yeah.
they want a certain thing from him,
Right.
right?
And they expect a
he's
certain
and he
thing from him.
right, and
Yeah.
he is popular because of that thing,
Right.
And so I
For
wonder.
pseudonyms coming
Exactly, I
probably,
was
right?
gonna
He's
say
probably
the same
writing a
thing.
lot of rom-coms. but
Yeah,
we know
right.
it's under
Maybe
some other
he's
pen
Pink
name.
Zebra.
He's,
Maybe he's
Oh,
Maybe.
mystery solved. I'm telling you.
No, breaking news here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
yeah.
Right, but I mean, but I think it's a serious question that composers grapple with.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because.
Well, I think that only you can answer that question for yourself
Yeah,
in some
I was
ways,
gonna say
right?
that.
Like,
Yeah.
Totally.
if you do one thing really, really well, keep doing it first of all, right?
Right.
But if you feel a passion to pursue something else and you feel like you can learn it well enough to write for, you know, a marketable market, you know, for that section of composition that you haven't done for a while, then go for it. There's no reason. I mean, I don't play a string instrument, but I can write a symphony orchestra. Like I can write for
Right.
Yeah.
like an orchestra piece. I can orchestrate a piece,
Sure.
but I don't know how to bow a violin. You know, physically I can't. You know, so it's about what you're passionate about.
Right.
Also, my orchestrations are mediocre at best, so it's not a self-like example.
Well, and you had mentioned talking to the pods, and like the Pod Brothers, Matt and Adam, have carved out like a certain voice. Like when you hear a Pod Brothers arrangement of a pop
Right.
song, it's got a certain feel to it. It's got a certain voice, and
got a
that's
vibe.
it's
Yeah.
got a vibe. It's
Yeah.
been their signature,
Right.
and I mean they would be wise to continue writing music
Yes.
in that vein because
Of
it's
course,
proven
yeah.
popular. But they wanted to start doing, you know, Zydeco, whatever, in certain thing. It's like,
Or
if
like
that's
high church, you know,
Yeah.
mass, you
Yeah.
know, composition.
then that's
You gotta follow the money.
you follow the money, follow your heart.
Follow
you
your
go.
passion, that too.
Yeah,
But if the money follows the heart, then you're set.
yeah.
There you
right.
have it.
Well, not for nothing. I mean, you know, the masters, Mozart,
Yeah.
Beethoven. I mean, they didn't make nothing. I mean, they got paid for the music they wrote, right?
Yeah.
And so like that was the commercial music of
And
the
they
time.
just kept writing it
They just
because
kept writing.
it
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
it
yeah.
was a living.
So this has been happening a long time.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, so let's get deep and philosophical. Okay,
Yes.
I did some
Ready.
Googling before I came here.
Uh-oh.
As always a dangerous thing. Hal Leonard's selling close to 500,000 titles at this point online. Choral arrangements or compositions of various kinds. So theoretically, we could shut everything down today, stop selling new music, and there'd be enough pieces of music out there that every choral director could do new music on every concert for the rest of their life and never be bored, but publishing could theoretically, right, just disappear. So why do we need new choral music when we have so much already?
I saw that question on the sheet, and it's like, do that to any cultural or entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Should we stop just making movies?
Yeah.
Done. Like, we got 500 million movies out there. We don't need to do
You don't need that 26 card,
Yeah,
you have
right.
25, right?
Like, who are we to tell people to stop making art?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Right.
to
I
stop
don't think we
creating
should,
and
but
that
I
kind
do
of- No,
think...
I know. I know
Right,
that's your question.
but I think I've had the conversation before with choral directors.
Sure.
Like, why would I commission a piece of music when I can go buy it for $3 or whatever, right? And so I think for some people there is not an understanding of just what you get with a new commissioned piece of music that you don't really understand until you do it.
Yeah.
how many lives you touch, like
Yeah.
how important it is for the composer,
Right.
how important it is for the parents of the students in the choir who are hearing it for the
Or
first
for
time.
the ensemble for whom the piece is commissioned.
Oh, yep, and just a domino effect of
Yeah.
so many different
Just
facets.
the ability to create new art. I mean, like Luke is saying, the passion doesn't stop, and the creativity and the drive to create doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so there needs to be an outlet for that in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through conventional or self-publishing. I think
Humanity's going to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
And,
creative
we've
people.
done it from
Yeah.
the start, and it's just,
There's got to be a place for it.
yeah.
Yeah. Good luck trying to bottle that up.
Philosophical.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's deep, it's philosophical. And that kind of goes back to the earlier point about how do you explain what your music is and what it means, right? I think the composers that are really successful are the ones that are able to articulate that, right? I wrote this piece because,
Right.
I had this important message I wanted to share, or, there was a need that I'm trying to fill, right? Like, I think, like to your point earlier, choral directors are very interested in the text and finding something that, like, everyone wants to be in their feelings, right?
Right.
Like
Right,
it's
we
all
connect
about
with it.
it's
Yeah.
all about having a meaningful text, music that means something,
Right.
and not just, artificially AI
Right.
Yeah, something
generated
recycled.
choral music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Ugh.
Sometimes it's the music itself, when you combine that with the meaningful text that just elevates everything. It's that goosebump moment. I mean, and we've all experienced that and you can't put your finger on it, explain what it is. Is it this chord? Is it the melody? Is it the progression? Is it the way it's harmonized? But there's something magical that happens and gets that emotion. And
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
Yeah, you just can't bottle that up. It either happens or it doesn't.
Yep.
But-
And one of our newest choral editors at Hal, Zachary Moore,
yeah.
Yeah.
is a composer himself
Yeah.
and is published at other publishing houses outside of Hal Leonard. And he was inspired by the birth of his son and wrote this piece, and the story behind it and the feelings.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings so many emotions to the table.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When you see his joy for how he wrote it and,
Yeah, and
and
why
hearing
he
it be
wrote it.
performed. So it's just, it comes from a place. And it's
And I
beautiful.
think when choirs and directors know the story behind the piece as to the why, that's conveyed to the people making the music, and they communicate that message in how they present the music, and that's
Yep.
where that emotion comes
Yeah.
from.
Yes.
Yeah. Music is remember, it's a language, right? So we all communicate in this language that we all
Yeah.
share, but it taps into that thing that's just ethereal. You can't really
Can't bottle it up.
quantify it,
Yeah.
and to convey emotion that's transcendent, and so that's why we create, right? Is to continue to have a
Right.
voice to communicate in this language that we're so passionate about. It's hard to turn that off, man.
Yeah, you
know?
can't.
We're inspired, right?
I don't think you can turn it off.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the truth.
So something that I've been thinking about lately and kind of having trouble reconciling is the fact that every choral musician recognizes that feeling that you talk about, the goosebumps, and they all everybody has some memory of an important moment, either singing a piece or listening to a choir.
Right.
Yet at the same time, it does feel like, when we get talking about the business side of things, there is a total disregard for what it takes to bring that kind of music into being, right? And I feel like it manifests in a couple of different ways, right? But I think you have, for example, choral directors who only buy the minimum, number of copies because they know they can get away with it,
Right.
or like school districts that won't
Right.
provide the
Right.
$250 a student to buy a new piece of
Right,
music.
right.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And I have trouble with the fact that a lot of the times in these situations, it's our fellow musicians that are
Right.
not recognizing the monetary value
Right.
in what we
Right.
do.
Yeah.
So how, like, if we can't convince them, how are we going to convince the faculty and the principals and the administration and the parents? So is there something I'm missing? Have you found the way of really communicating both the artistic value but also the economic value of choral music?
I think a lot of it, and some of it, like you say, is a disregard, but I think a lot of it is just not being informed. I don't know if people necessarily intentionally go out to do that, to buy the minimum and make their copies, but we just have to keep educating the public, educating people that this is just not acceptable.
Well, yeah, and Scott, he gives sessions all the time
for
about
sure, yeah.
copyright and the proper way to do things, and he remarks about how the enthusiasm everyone to hear, here's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Because people want to do it.
Yeah, I'm so glad I
Right
know how
way.
to do this properly.
Right.
I didn't know I could make. We're a nonprofit. I could make that copy. Well, no. Oh, I didn't know that. Now I do.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm sure we all have stories of when we were in elementary, high
sure.
school,
Oh, of
and our
course,
choir
yeah.
director was like, "Here's a copy of this"
Yeah.
or something. And we've all encountered this
Of course we have.
way
yeah.
before the digital age as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
It's been
Collect photocopies that
Right.
were on the blue Xerox machines or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and we're being, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
we're
ahead.
being more intentional, even on our Helena website, just to say, it is expected that you are buying a number of copies to properly outfit your entire ensemble. And it's just there, just as another way to inform people that this is what the industry expectation is.
Yeah.
So hopefully that.
Yeah. The other thing I can add is the idea of art, the intersection of art and commerce. These are two diametrically opposed things.
Sure.
Right? These things could not be more polar opposite. And
Yeah,
so,
right.
when we have to put them together, we do. And so there's always tension, always. And so, you go too far one way, well, you're not going to be able to monetize it.
Right.
But if you go too far the other way, well, then all the creativity gets sucked out, right? And so there's something in the middle that we try so hard
Oh,
to
yes.
find that balance and that optimal place in the center where it's legitimate, it's inspiring, and it's marketable and consumable, and people are willing to pay properly for it. So,
Right.
So that's, I guess that's a summary of what we do every day, not just
Yeah.
in choral, but in the music business anywhere. So
Right.
To prove the
it's
value.
a tough line to navigate down.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe you could also talk about just how many different ways that 250 gets split up, right? Because
yeah.
I think there's this,
Oh,
some
yeah.
people have this impression that all that money's going to Roger Emerson or whatever,
Yeah.
and he's just
Yeah.
getting
Right
rich
into
off
our
of this,
pocket.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's the editor, the engraver who puts it on the page,
Sure.
the way we record it and market it and
Right.
create the cover and it's just
The print costs.
the print,
all
the
those
ink,
things.
the duplication,
The paper.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much that goes into it.
Right.
So many people.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that the publisher is the one that owns the arrangement ultimately.
Mhm.
It's not us. We don't own
Right.
arrangements of Bruno Mars tunes or
No.
Taylor Swift tunes
Right.
or whoever.
Right.
Yeah.
And Roger is the creative master that cover Mac or whoever.
Right.
Is to kind of put that and shape it into the thing that we can present to a high school choir or a college choir, to be able to present and perform. And so
Right.
it's hard, yeah.
Well, and that's my, I guess, shameless plug for go find a composer and commission something, because
Yes.
they're getting,
Right.
if they're lucky, 10, maybe 15% off
Yeah.
of the sale.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so you got to sell a lot of copies of
Right.
Silent Night to be
Right.
able to,
Right. Right.
Yep.
make a significant amount of money off of one piece of music.
Right.
True.
But with a
Right.
commission, you're talking hundreds of dollars instead of
Right.
tens, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so in terms of supporting the art and supporting the community, that goes a
Right,
long way
sure.
in letting composers do what they want to do.
Yeah.
I can't help throwing that in there. But I think too, I think it's helpful to compare it to other costs that we don't think about, right?
Right.
Like my argument to teachers is always like, if you tell the kids' parents they got to bring $5, they can have pizza at the, after school, whatever. Everyone says, okay, they turn in the money. Not a big deal, right?
Don't think twice, yeah.
Why would it be any different to ask $5 for a piece of music that they're going to use all semester and learn from? And pizza's something you eat once and it's gone.
Yeah.
And just because it's food and because we want to be alive, people just kind of accept the cost of food. But I think there's a lot of things that administration is willing to pay for without thinking about. Parents are willing to pay for. They'll give you $20 for a T-shirt, no problem.
Right.
But then it's why is it a struggle sometimes to get that music?
Well, it's the internal struggle too of
It is.
arts programs being
Sure.
bought and stuff.
The sheet music is the textbook for the music department.
And that's why we're going to do the Hal Leonard cookbook, right?
Yes.
Because
Chapter 1.
if we have food and music, then it'll be fine.
Yes.
That's right.
I really appreciate y'all sitting down for this conversation. It's always good to get insight into what happens, on the commerce side of things, because I think in these sorts of settings, most of what gets talked about is the art. It's the, as it should be, right? It's the creation and the execution and all of that. But if we don't have a healthy business to support it, then ultimately I think that's going to be detrimental to the industry. So why don't we end with this? Do you have a favorite choral memory you want to share? It could be singing or watching a concert or something that you found and published that you're super proud of and want to take credit for. What do you got?
You want me to start?
Yeah, you're first on the couch, so go for it.
Well, it was sort of the gateway into choral, but when I was a freshman at my high school, I was pretty good piano player at the time, still play a little bit, and I got asked by the concert band, and they were doing Eric Whitacre's Ghost Train, and my brothers were in the band. They were upperclassmen. I was a freshman. I got asked to play the piano for Ghost Train, and they hated it because I would walk in, my brothers would be like, "Oh my God, Luke's here. He's in our band. I can't believe it." But it was my favorite introduction to Whitacre's music because I got to play with all the upperclassmen. And then it's I started, as everyone does and discovers Eric Whitacre's music, and we start singing Sleep and Cloudburst and everything. It was oh my gosh, this is the greatest. And so my brothers hated it, but it was a wonderful memory for me because I got to get introduced to it really early.
Cool.
So
that's cool. Give you some good cred then in the class too.
The cred, indeed.
So mine is a little more serious, I think, and I remember the year. I think it was 2009 or 2007. Whatever year we did ACDA in Oklahoma City. Was it maybe it was 9? And the piece Requiem, Eliza Gilkison's Requiem, and Craig Hella Johnson's series with us. A stunning piece that I had the absolute privilege to serve as an editor on and work on that piece with Craig, and got that ready for production and into press. And we sat at that ACDA at the Oklahoma City Memorial site, and that piece was sung by Conspirari in front of all of us at that site, commemorating that terrible tragedy with that music and those words. And it was just the most unbelievable thing to listen to. Wow. And for me, just to be able to see the work I had done on the page as an editor and just making it ready for press, and then to hear that performed so perfectly in such an amazing place, I'll never forget it.
It's amazing. So, yeah, I've got a couple, but I'll talk about one. I came up through school as a choral student, sang in show choir in high school, found my way to jazz band, and then when I got to college, I was an instrumentalist, piano player, so I was studying commercial composition arranging in Nashville. So I was there to learn how to write, studio, and all that stuff, but everybody was required to sing in the oratorio. So I had the good fortune to have the timing was right, that Dr. Tim Sharp was our oratorio course director at Belmont. And we did Haydn's Creation one semester, but the other semester, the mountaintop was Rudder's Requiem. And that, I'm still emotional about it. It is unbelievable. and it was a mountaintop experience. And John Rudder himself came and directed it for the show,
Wow.
and it was unbelievable. And it taps into that ethereal thing that you can't put words to, you can't describe. It was absolutely incredible. And so, I mean, I was a choral student all the way through, and eventually found my way to instrumentalist. But boy, you know, I'm a singer at heart, and being in a huge choir like that, and singing a work of that importance and that beauty was unlike anything else I've ever experienced in my life. So that was a real mountaintop experience.
Well, my thanks to the three of you. This has been awesome.
Our pleasure.
Give us the shameless plug for Hal Leonard Choral. Where can we find all the things?
HalLeonard.com.
If you're listening to this and you can't find Hal Leonard at this point,
find
I don't know what to tell you.
Please go checking out HalLeonard.com and our YouTube channel, which of course we put all the scores
Yes, we sure do.
with the audio on, which we work with amazing studios around the country to create
we've
these
got a
beautiful
church
recordings.
YouTube, we have a sacred YouTube channel, and a school YouTube.
Yep,
So
absolutely. And don't forget that we're linked to Sheet Music Direct with all of the digital scores. And sheet
Arranged
music,
me.
Direct Pass, and everything.
Yep.
So there's lots of avenues.
Choral mix for audio learning tracks and all that.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Lots of STEM and learning track recordings coming down the pike. So
Lots of
exciting.
great stuff in the hopper too.
Yeah.
You know, like plans. You know, we've got great content coming out.
yeah,
so.
we sure do. We're very excited about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you in 2 years.
All right.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Gary.
Jared.
See ya.